So I was tagged. I see these tagged videos all the time on YouTube, and I always watch them partly to see, you know, what the person says, but also to see if I was tagged. And no one ever freaking tags me, but I was finally tagged. So thanks, Sinister Moon, someone finally tagged me. I think it's supposed to be, I'm calling it 5 facts about me because I think it's supposed to be interesting facts, but I don't think any of this is going to be all that interesting, to be honest. So here we go. 5 facts about me. I think probably I've mentioned just about all of these at some point or another, so it's probably not going to be anything too new, but I'll try to, you know, go into a little more detail than I have before, I guess. Fact number 1 is I used to work for a video game development company. My official title was assistant computer artist, which doesn't sound too flashy, but I did get to do it. It was how I learned to do character modeling and animation, and that's pretty cool. That you know, that animation I did of the cat in the opening of the Golden Axe episode of the Game Den, I wouldn't be able to do that if I hadn't worked at that company. It was called Semi-Logic Entertainment. As far as I know, they're still around. People are always asking me, how do you get into the industry, and what classes do I take? Well, at the time I started working there, which I think was somewhere around the year 2000, there probably were classes you could take, but there weren't as many. It wasn't such a big deal, the idea of taking classes to learn computer graphics. So basically the way I got the job was that I was living in California. This company was in California, well, Sacramento actually, and I basically got lucky. I used to have a Soul Reaver fan site, and I mentioned I had a little About Me section, like anyone cares, you know. But I had a little About Me section. I mentioned, yeah, I love video games and I'm an artist, and I got an email from a guy who owned a small video game company saying, well, if you like to do artwork and you're into video games, you know, what do you think about having a job where you do artwork for video games? I'm like, okay, cool. So, you know, it took a while for me to finally get hired on there because I was going to college at the time, and I didn't really have the time to go, you know, I didn't really have time for both at first, but yeah, I was in business college at the time. Once I graduated business college, I, you know, finally met with a guy, and I started working there, and I didn't know anything about, well, I pretty much only knew traditional art. I don't think I even knew how to use Photoshop when I started working there. I basically learned on the job. I learned how to use Adobe Photoshop and 3D Studio Max, and that's how I learned to do character animation. I just learned it on the job, and it could be very stressful at times, but you know, I learned a lot of really cool stuff, and you know, I miss working at that place. It was an awesome environment. I worked in basically, well, it's a small company to begin with, and I worked in an even smaller branch of this small company. So I just worked in a room with about 3 guys, and we all did like, you know, the computer art, the character designs, and the modeling, and all that good stuff. And yeah, that was great. I worked there for about 4 years, and for whatever reason, it eventually didn't work out, and I got laid off. Mainly because character design, character animation and stuff, character-based stuff is pretty much all I know how to do. You know, ask me to model a character, and I'll, you know, I'll totally knock it out of the park, but ask me to model a building, and I'll be like, I don't know how to do that. So, once they decided they didn't want to do games that were really character-driven, they didn't really have much use for me anymore, so that was that. And most of the games, because I was, you know, my strong point is character stuff, I didn't do a whole lot of stuff that actually ended up in published games. I was involved in a Hot Wheels race car game that was only online, and you could only play it if you like bought certain Hot Wheels cars, and there was like a code on the back of it, and you go to this website, you enter the code, and you can play the game. So, you know, I don't think anyone ever played the damn thing. It was pretty good, and I modeled some stuff. I think there was an Egyptian-themed level, and I modeled some Egyptian statues, and I'm really into Egyptian stuff. I don't get a whole lot of chance to do anything with it, but yeah, I'm really into Egyptian stuff, so that was cool. The only game I can think of that I actually did work on was this game called Real War. It's a real-time strategy, which is not my type of game, so I had to do some play testing on it, which I didn't really enjoy all that much. I don't know, I can't say if the game's good or bad, to be honest. I've heard both. I've heard some people have said it's really good, or at least pretty good, and some say it sucks. I don't know. But yeah, in case you want to check it out, it'd be kind of cool if somebody did a review of it. I'm not going to do a review because obviously I would be biased. So, yeah, it's called Real War. And I basically had to model buildings and had to model, you know, like a building, you know, after it was built, and then the building again after it was blown up, and it was sort of cool. It wasn't really what I wanted to be doing, so I had mixed feelings about having to do that, but yeah, I did this, I made this game, I helped to make this game that was published, and if you look under, you know, look it up under mobygames.com, you will see my name in there, and in fact, I'm in the instruction manual somewhere. I thought I was. Oh, there I am. I'm under, in the credits on page 63, I'm under artists, and my name is the second from the bottom. You can actually see it right there. I don't know if how well you can see that. I may have to scan it later, but yeah, Dina and the tally right there. So, I know, even though it's not the sort of game I would want to play, it's kind of cool that I actually have my name in a published game. So, you know, there you go. That's, so that's my experience working for a video game development company. Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.